What are some of like the highlights that you've seen throughout your career? So awesome. It's fucking dope. What's up, everybody? It's Brandon from Tattooing 101, and today I have a special guest, Maddox, all the way from Florida. He came to check out my shop and guest spot in a booth that I have for a little bit, and also do some private coaching while we're here. He was a student of Tattooing 101, so he had quite a bit of struggles getting into a tattoo shop. He is a part of the LGBT community, so we're going to break that all down and try to help someone out there be able to understand the processes of getting into a shop, even if it can be hard. So on that note, just give me a brief history about, your journey and how you got to where you are today.
Sure. Yeah, so I'm 35. When I was in my 20s going to college, I got lucky and got a position helping out at a tattoo shop. I started as like a counter person and kind of worked my way up to being like a shop manager. And it was kind of like the time of my life, honestly. I had a blast doing it, being in the industry, getting to travel with them and do conventions and stuff like that. It just, was always something that really spoke to me. I've always been someone that's appreciated like creative fields of work, whether that be photography or drawing, whatever it is, it's always kind of like something I've been geared towards. So when I graduated from college, I graduated with a degree in computer science, and I felt like it was something that I needed to pursue since I had just spent all that time and money going to college for it. So I did that for quite a while. I opened my own development company out of college with some friends of mine, and we built apps, mainly video game stuff. We worked with some pretty big name people. We worked with the guys that made Tony Hawk Pro Skater. We worked with some of the guys that made Grand Theft Auto,
Wow.
Stuff like that. So, it was cool and it was happening, but, it was not something that really grabbed me the way that tattooing did.
It wasn't like a passion.
Yeah, it was never a passion. It was a cool experience. But yeah, like it just wasn't my passion.
Yeah, I've had quite a few of those in my life, like getting to meet different people and connecting on that level, but it's still not something that like, you want to wake up and just do that every day.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I had some life changes happen in my early 30s, and, I decided that I just wanted to pursue what I was passionate about, which was tattooing. So, it took me some time to feel like I could even do it. I didn't really know where to start.
That's everyone.
Yeah, I just, I didn't have a portfolio. I couldn't go into a tattoo shop and show them like video game stuff. It's not the same, So,
Yeah.
I started out with doing a in-person seminar. It was a one-day seminar with a tattoo shop in Miami, and basically they just taught us like the hygiene of a tattoo shop. And then they just put a machine in our hands and they were like, draw freehand on this fake skin. And it was like one of the really crummy fake skins too.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And it was a really crummy machine. So like it wasn't particularly helpful because I had worked in the tattoo industry already. Like I already knew what the hygiene practices were. I had taken my bloodborne pathogens test like 100 times. So, I just was like, well, where do I go from here? Started Googling, since that's kind of what I'm good at. And I found, a few different resources on YouTube. But Tattooing 101 was, I felt like it was the easiest to comprehend. And it also had like everything. It wasn't just like realism or line work or, it had everything going for it. So when I found out that they actually had a school, you guys had a school, I was all for it. I signed up pretty much immediately and just kind of went balls to the wall, and I made it like my everyday thing. I shut down my company and just kind of hoped and prayed that it would work out.
And it was a profitable company too. Like,
yeah, it was. Yeah, it was working, but like I said, it just wasn't in the cards for me, I think. So, finding Tattooing 101 was really a blessing for me because it really allowed me to focus on my passion and yeah, I'm really stoked about it.
Yeah, now you're here.
Now I'm here.
So one question I had come up when you were talking was, what is the reason you decided to go online instead of like just, walking into shops and just banging on the door trying to get in that way for an apprenticeship?
Well, as I said before, I didn't really have a portfolio ready, so I didn't have anything to bring to them. All I could do was be like, I've worked in the industry before. That was about it. But, which would be great if I wanted to do management or like do counterperson work again. But
that wouldn't really help you.
Yeah, as an artist, I didn't have anything to bring to the table. Also, drawing for video games is very different than drawing for tattoos. Designing is very different. So I needed a little kick in the pants to kind of figure out how to make my designs tattoo compatible. And that's something that Tattooing 101 really helped me out with. Your guys' private coaching, really, that's when it like really took off for me.
It's a game changer.
Yeah, it was a huge game changer for me. So once I had completed the private coaching, I had like more than enough material to put into a portfolio and bring to a tattoo shop.
Yeah, I know that you said, a couple of times that it was kind of awkward for you to be able to go, like, just thinking going into a tattoo studio. I wanted to touch base a little bit more about, your feelings of, that, because the tattoo industry can definitely be different for a lot of people.
Sure. Yeah. So for me, being a trans person, I found it to be a little bit scary to walk in there because I think it's important to be out and visible for people. And I want that to be something that I continue going forward. And so finding a tattoo shop that felt safe enough for me to be able to approach and kind of tell them my story and, give them like all the information about it was a little bit harder. Added like an extra caveat, because
it's already a stressful experience. I remember walking in shops and like, for some reason, there's this stigma that a tattoo artist is just this godlike being. So like, when you're not in the industry, walking up to one trying to get a position is just like scary. Yeah, I don't know why, but it is.
It definitely was scary for sure. So yeah, I mean, being able to talk to you guys and kind of work out like my fears with you guys, it gave me enough confidence to kind of start going in. And I just had to do my research on shops that I felt were like more open-minded, and that's essentially what really helped me get into a shop.
Yeah. Have you ever had an experience to where you might have felt unsafe or like super sketched out when approaching a shop or something like that, or it was just kind of like a mental thing that like you were kind of afraid of that possibly happening?
Well, it's kind of funny because nowadays everything's online. Yeah, everybody posts everything about themselves online. So all I had to do was just find the name of a tattoo artist that I felt like approaching and then Google them, look at their Instagram, and just doing that, you can tell like what kind of person they are typically, or at least what kind of mindset they have. And like more often than not, it was not the type of people that I would feel comfortable working with.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
That's why I stress all the time that like, if you have a business Instagram, keep it strictly business. Like any views that you have, everyone's gonna have different views in this lifetime.
Yeah.
Just don't post them. Yeah. Like it's just that's easy. Just keep it to yourself, go on your day.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just stuff like that. Like imagine how many customers he or she lost just because of the same thing. They were like, oh, should I get tattooed by this person? I just saw a bunch of crazy stuff. And they're like, your work could be the best work on the face of the earth, but if you have just a crazy, online presence, you're going to lose some people.
That's totally true.
Yeah.
I mean, being in the community myself and also being friends with tons of people that are in the community, I've heard time and time again, like, I love this artist's work, but unfortunately, like, I don't agree with their mindset, and I don't want to sit in their chair for 3+ hours getting tattooed by them because then I have to hear it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's crazy to me, like in the tattoo industry, you could pretty much be whatever you want. There's no like HR department, right? So like you could get away with a lot of, kind of terrible things. And I feel like that's gotten to the point to where it's like a little bit of a problem. Like, it needs to get kind of pushed back. That's a job, right? Keep your views to yourself. You know, you could have conversations, and you know, I've had plenty of conversations with my clients, but you know, at the end of the day, people aren't going to have the same mindset with everything, especially religion.
Oh yeah.
I keep that one way off the table in a tattoo studio because, you know, there's so many views on just something as simple as that. That, you know, everyone has different views, and that's just a part of, you know, being human.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. So yeah, I mean, I completely agree with what you're saying, and you know, it's definitely made it a little bit more tricky as a transgender person to, you know, infiltrate the tattoo industry, I guess. You know, for me, my experience has been generally pretty good. But there's always like this, but maybe you should keep, you know, the fact that you're trans, like, on the down low. So for example, like, I worked at a wonderful shop, like I said before, when I first started in my journey in the tattoo industry. It was woman owned, and you know, the owner was fabulous, super open-minded. We became really good friends. We're still great friends, but there was always like one or two artists at the shop that like you couldn't tell my story to, you know, because for her, she was not so much worried as like a safety thing, but it was like she just didn't want me to get treated any different. And so like there's always that, like, you probably shouldn't tell this person that. So, you know, that's always something that I've kind of kept in mind. And like I said, in researching shops to work in, and seeing all the different like personality types out there, and you know, it's just something that you have to be more mindful of as a trans person. And there's just like a lack of space for the LGBT community as a whole. And that's no different in the tattoo industry. You know, people, I think, want to feel safe in every aspect of their life, tattooing included, whether you be a tattoo artist or you're the client getting tattooed. And for me, like, my personal goal is to open up a shop that is all-inclusive. So that way I can give people in Florida, South Florida specifically, a place to go and feel safe, whether they be, you know, a minority of any kind, like a woman, LGBT, whatever the case. You know, I want that to be part of the environment that I bring with my shop.
For sure. And that's exactly how I run my shop. Like, if for some reason, if there's an issue with any subject like that, that's not the clientele that I want to have anyway, right? Like, I'm cool with it. It's completely fun to me.
There's so many places that you can go and say that whatever it is that you want to say. So,
like, who cares what other people want to do with their lives as long as they're happy? That's, you know, all that matters.
Exactly.
Yeah, so talking like that about having to like watch what you say and everything, it's kind of like along the lines of a couple of students we have talking about telling about they've learned online. So that's kind of another thing I want to touch base on. Have you ever had any issues with, you know, telling an artist that you've learned online? You know, there's a big stigma that is slowly starting to die down. It will definitely happen because, you know, technology is advancing, and this is the, I would say personally, the most efficient way to get into it so you don't have to, you know, deal with all the terrible things, you know, going in with a regular apprenticeship. But yeah, do you have any issues with that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, it's typically like, in my experience in looking for an apprenticeship or looking for a place to work, like, if you tell people that you learned online, they don't take you seriously. Immediately, they don't take you seriously. It doesn't matter how good the artist. It's just like, I don't know exactly why, because I mean, if you can like learn to be a doctor online, I don't see why you couldn't learn to tattoo online. But other people, I guess, just don't really think about things that way. So
it's just getting stuck in their way, right? You know, it's kind of a whole thing that they believe that that's the only way it can make it happen, and it will change. It's definitely changing. I see it every day.
Well, yeah, I mean, so you know, there's a shop in Florida that I've gotten tattooed at, and you know, we may in the future be working out of here and there, and they've got a bunch of apprentices there. And I mean, I asked them how they're learning, and most of them said that they're teaching themselves to be a tattooing 101. you know, so it's definitely becoming like a more
acceptable thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So whenever you were at that shop and they said that they were learning from Tattooing 101, like, you know, online and everything, how did that conversation go? You know, did you let them know about, you know, the online course? Were they doing it on YouTube? You know, what all really were they checking out? What were they learning?
Yeah, I mean, literally everything. I mean, I think everything from, you know, just the basic like hygiene stuff to
one of the most important things.
Yeah, for sure. To, I mean, you know, their line work and shading skills. Like, I mean, Tattooing 101 covers literally everything. From someone who has never even gotten a tattoo, I think like they can easily join the course, and by the end of it, they would have a great deal of knowledge.
Like, I've seen people not even be able to draw and become professional tattooers and be able to draw by the end of it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, drawing is definitely something that is a learned skill. It's not like a natural. I mean, sure, some people are good at it when they're, you know, young and they get better as they, but like you can as an adult definitely learn how to draw. Yeah. And Tattooing 101 will help you do that for sure.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest pet peeves I have whenever someone says, oh, like drawing's such a gift, because it's something that anyone can learn. Literally, it's just like anything else in life. If I wanted to learn how to, you know, build a house tomorrow, the information is there, and it's exactly the same with drawing. You just have to start somewhere and put in the time. Like, some people say, you know, I was born able to draw, but that's not the case. That's just, instead of playing football because I wasn't that guy, I was home drawing, you know, anime characters or Pokemon or something like that. So, you know, it's just putting your time into different things to get better at it. It's like literally anything else.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you want something bad enough, and you just got to put the time,
make it happen.
And make it happen. Really,
yeah, for sure.
And drawing is no exception.
Yep. And man, does it take some time.
Yeah, a lot of time. I mean, you and Nathan had me doing drills every day. I mean, I was drawing for like 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
But I mean,
you made it happen.
I made it happen,
where you are now.
And now I'm in a shop. So
yep.
I mean, it's totally doable. If I can do it, anybody can do it. That's for damn sure.
So a question that I have for you is, you know, the conversations that we've had together and your journey and everything, it's been pretty good. You know, you got onto the program, did the private coaching, and now you're in a shop, you know, you're guest spotting in my shop and everything. So throughout your career so far, what are some of the highlights that you've had being a part of the LGBT community? And, you know, has that helped you along the way, or, you know, kind of prolong the process? You know, I just wanted some insight on that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the LGBT community is a strong community. We are small but mighty, for sure. Especially the trans community. That's something that I've always been a part of. I used to have a YouTube channel too, way back in the day. Yeah, talking about just like, you know, general information about transitioning and you know, just trying to put some info out there, because like when I transitioned, the internet was still in its infancy.
Yeah.
So like there was no information at all anywhere. You just kind of had to hope and dream that it was going to be all.
How long?
So I've been transitioning now for almost 20 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's been a while. My friends like to call me a tranpaw. So yeah, it's definitely been something that I've been doing for a long time. And like I said, yeah, before there was just no information out there. So I started a YouTube channel to, so, you know, just kind of get that information out there. And so in doing that, it's kind of like forced me to be like very much a part of the LGBT community, specifically the trans community. And as I said, like, it's a very strong community. So, you know, when I first started learning, I opened up a Facebook group that was just to kind of like follow my journey. And it was kind of amazing how many like perfect strangers just wanted to kind of be a part of it, just because like I'm a visible trans person and there's just a lack of like role models out there in the trans community. So, you know, I think for them it was just like cool seeing somebody that was kind of following their dreams and they wanted to kind of be a part of it. So I've had like nothing but support, really, from that aspect. It's been really wonderful. For sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what's some advice you would give to someone in the LGBT community as well that is wanting to get into tattooing, that has the same kind of fears of like walking into a shop, because, you know, it can be kind of a hostile environment depending on the one
Sure.
you get into. What's some advice you would give to them?
Yeah, just honestly, the biggest thing is do your research. Like I said before, like everything's online nowadays, and people will post their entire life online. So it's just like if you find a shop that you like and you're thinking that you might want to approach them for an apprenticeship or a job, you know, just look at the shop page, look at the individual artist's page, especially the owner.
Reviews too.
Reviews, yeah, for sure. And just in doing that, you'll get a very general sense of like their frame of mind, and you know, stay away from the ones that are crappy. That's kind of what I did. I got in with a mentor who's very open-minded, which got me into a shop that's very open-minded, and you know, it's been great. Like I haven't had any negative experiences because I've purposely surrounded myself with people that are of a like mind.
Yeah. And no matter what, I feel like in any situation, you're always going to have a negative experience at some point. But if you turn it into a positive experience, you know, like, you know, something bad did happen, at least you have the group around you to have your back in that certain type of situation is really what's important. So having a team behind you is definitely a game changer.
Oh, for sure. Having a good support system in any region of your life is important, for sure.
Yeah.
And this instance is no different.
So what's some like sketchy situations that you have seen, either communicating or like walking into a shop? I know that we've touched base that you've been pretty easygoing so far, but do you have any stories to give on that subject?
Yeah, I mean, you know, as someone that's like, I like to have all the information before I like approach something. So luckily, because I do that, like I haven't had any necessarily like horrible situations happen to me. But I definitely, like, when I was first coming out of coaching with you and Nathan, you know, I put the feelers out there for some apprenticeships and for jobs, and there was one person in particular that I had approached for an apprenticeship, and you know, they were nice to me online. They were just like, they just told me they weren't interested, which is fine. But you know, I obviously was following them and stuff, and not too soon after that, like not too long after that, I realized from their posts that they were like actually very anti-LGBT. So that was like a few kind of moments where like I was glad that I didn't, because you know, up until that point they hadn't posted anything saying anything about that. So I don't know if it was like me approaching them that prompted them to post it or what.
And were you like open with the conversation about everything?
Well, you know, on my social media, I'm very open. Like in my bio, I say that I'm a trans artist, you know, so all it would have taken was for him to just click on my.
I never even noticed that. Yeah. I'm terrible at reading.
So, you know, I don't know if it was me that prompted it or what, but, you know, when I saw that, it was definitely like, okay, I'm glad I didn't go that route. Yeah. Cause that would have been awkward.
That's good. I know that, you know, it's definitely a sore subject for some people out there, and it's good that you've never gone through any like crazy situations, but still, even just like stuff like that could definitely put a dent in like, you know, your kind of drive and stuff.
For sure.
So that's awesome you were able to push through that. So what's some advice you would give to, you know, some of the viewers out here that are going through like the same thing, to like help them push through that kind of mental block and like getting to the next step?
Sure. You know, in my experience, which is just mine, so take that with a grain of salt, but I will say this, like, for every person that has like a crappy mindset, there's also someone out there that has a really open and great mindset.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a matter of like finding your people. You know, you just got to find your tribe, honestly. And, you know, sometimes it takes longer than others, but you know, people are out there, and, it's really up to you to like keep trying and, you know, put yourself in a position where you're surrounded by good people.
For sure. That's great advice. And I want everyone out there to know that you are my people. I wanted to thank everyone for watching this video. Me and Maddox are going to be doing some more podcasts on some other subjects, so make sure you follow along and watch the videos coming up. As always, I wanted to thank you guys so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.